Okay, this video I'm going to make not really as any new content. We'll just call this our test prep video. If I write too fast, it just loses some of the keystrokes. So I just got to learn to write very slow. In other words, what do you need to know for this test coming up? And so I'm going to go, not quickly, but I'm just going to kind of repeat the major sections and just to make sure you have what you need for this test. It's all going to start with the history. Under history, be able to name the different mechanical devices and electronic generations. Okay, so we have our abacus, be able to do a problem with one of those. We have Babbage. I'm sorry, I skipped Hollerith. I skipped Pascal, sorry. Getting all mixed up in my mind. Then we had Babbage. Know basically a couple of things about each one of these. Know who, when, and what, so to speak. So Pascal was the who, the Pascaline was the what, and the when was the 1600s. The Babbage, he had the analytical machine and the difference engine. The when was the 1830s and 40s, and the and in both of these, were there any negative aspects? For example, the Pascaline was basically very simple adding and subtracting. The Babbage machine, he died before he was able to finish them. We have Hollerith, his tabulating machine, and the year was 1890 for the census. Why was this one important? Well, it didn't introduce, but it made very popular the punch card, which would be used for many, many decades to come. Punch. Just got to write very slow. Punch card. So that wrapped up the mechanical era. Then we had our kind of our bridge, and we used the relays, which used both electricity and mechanical devices. And then we had our 4 generations of the modern or the electronic era, and we had the transistor. We had the sorry about that. We had the vacuum tube. We had the then we had the transistor. I'm writing very fast. I should not be with this pen because it makes it very hard to read. Then we had the integrated chip, and finally we had the CPU. Now, I did not give you in this review, go back and look at your notes or the videos, because there's a lot of details in there you need to know, a lot of facts you need to know. For example, how many vacuum tubes were in the ENIAC? What was the ENIAC? How does a transistor work? What is inside of an integrated circuit? What was the first company to build a CPU? What was Moore's law? Who was Gordon Moore? What company was the first to make a microprocessor? So I'm skipping all that for now, but anything in those videos could be on the, and things that you've already been quizzed on is a good thing to start with too. We moved from the 4 generations of computers to binary math. And specifically, we went from decimal to binary, and binary to decimal. So in other words, can you convert 17 to binary? And can you convert 10110 to decimal? 2 other problems in that series was hexadecimal, which remembers we divide numbers into groups of 4, and then we use A through F in addition to 0 through 9. So I may give you the value, a bunch of 1s and 0s, and I'll say, what does this equal to? And you'll say, it's 3F, for example. That could be a very valid hexadecimal number. Next, we talk about how values are stored in ASCII. And basically we use the code, or what does ASCII do? It stores text. So we can store, people's names, addresses, any word, any letters, commas, and those were grouped into groups of 8. So if I gave you a long row of numbers, you divide it into 8, come up with a number there, look on the chart, the next 8, look on the chart, give me, it may say hi, something like that. Remember, if you're reversing it, and I give you the word hi and convert it, make sure you give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 digits. Excuse me. And if you don't have 8, put zeros in front of them. Okay? Next, we talked about how some other data was stored. We talked about numbers, text. We briefly talked about pictures, and by furthering that by videos. So pictures and videos were basically the same. So we'll maybe have one question on videos. And from there, we turn to our circuits, which was, let's come down here now. Knowing the 3 steps: the truth table, truth, the equation step, and the circuit. We finished up with a few terms like full adder and half adder, clock, hertz, bus, things like that. So again, go back to your notes. But that's a wrap up of the first test. History and some math. So you have the history of computers, and we have the modern day, more modern generation of the 4 from the 20th century, and then we got into binary. So again, find some sample problems, ask questions, go back and rewatch some videos, make sure your notes. Another help for some people is actually to rewrite their notes in another notebook, just to kind of summarize and kind of just helps you rewrite things and make further better notes maybe the second time. Some people like doing that. So that should wrap up our first section. So I hope you'll do well in the test.